And joining us now to talk more about this situation is James Pierre. He's a Haitian-born journalist who has covered the unrest in the country and beyond for us. Thank you so much for taking the time for us tonight. We've been talking to you since before the earthquake, since before the assassination of Haiti's president, about these gang members who appear to be running the country for all intents and purposes, and they're putting so many people at risk. Now it's hitting home, right? 16 Americans and a Canadian kidnapped there, including 5 children, some elderly people. What do we know about the missionaries themselves?
What do we know about the missionaries? They just came from the Bouquet, a very quiet area, going to the north side of Port-au-Prince called Titanien. Titanien used to be an abandoned area where we usually, after the 2010 earthquake, we had the people, the victim of the earthquake, buried. So it's really like an abandoned zone without lights. It's a very easy spot for the kidnappers to really position themselves, of anybody traveling from north. This is a highway area as well, traveling from north to go to Port-au-Prince, the capital, to easily being kidnapped by gang members. And the specific gang that we are talking about is a very, very dangerous gang. They really have no law, no respect for anybody, and absolutely for kids. Imagine that we have 3 of the minors being kidnapped by the 400 Maozo. They defeat the police several times, either in Martissan, different areas, Village de Dieu in Port-au-Prince. So they are all into getting money to recruit more gang members to become stronger, to fight against another gang members in Haiti called G9.
And this same gang also kidnapped 5 priests and 2 nuns in Haiti earlier this year. Are they targeting religious people, or is it just that religious people are easy targets and some of the only foreigners in the country right now?
What we are hearing on the ground of Port-au-Prince is like whoever we can get to get money to become bigger, to buy ammunition, buy more weapons, to prepare ourselves for the bigger fight. That's the goal. And that is the goal of not only Maozo, but also other gang members operating in different areas in Port-au-Prince. Remember, we are also talking about other gang members in Martissan. Martissan also, according to other organizations in Haiti, reported that they have committed at least 700 cases of kidnapping in the whole country since January. So different gangs, they are operating at their own risk, and police cannot control them. They choose who can go to an area, who cannot go to another area. And that's why we have the Christian aid ministries now getting trapped into these negotiation of the gang members. Representative of the organization, the Christian aid ministry, say they are talking to the U.S. Embassy in Haiti to find a way to release the members from the gang members, but we doubt that that release will happen soon without any money given to the kidnappers.
And there's no talk of retaliation, right? Because one of the Christian ministry's former workers based in Haiti was convicted of sexual abuse against minors in Ohio, but also admitted to the judge to molesting at least 20 boys in Haiti over a span of about 15 years. Does it appear that case had anything to do with this, or is this just a crime of opportunity?
Well, talking about abusing, we know that in Haiti it's very difficult for the Haitian government even to control how the ministries are operating in the country. Now, about retaliation, I doubt it may be the case. It's more like opportunity. Oh, there we go. We have some foreigners here. They may have money. Let's try to kidnap them and extract money as much as we can get from them.
Do we know about any kind of ransom demand?
Well, we know some numbers so far. They're asking for $500 million, and some of them say it's $500,000. But this is usually the routine by gang members. When they kidnap someone in Haiti, they usually start with $300,000 to $500,000, and that's basically what they do for one person they kidnap. And we know they have 15. Obviously, that number will grow, but we are waiting for information from the local police in Haiti. They've been very busy today about another confrontation between police and gang members while the prime minister was trying to hold a ceremony in Haiti. So the police has a lot of in their head right now, including the prime minister trying to find a way how to control Haiti and how to organize upcoming election in Haiti.
Well, our thoughts are with everyone who is in this type of a situation, and there are so many people. James Pierre, thank you, as always, for your reporting tonight.
Thank you.